beside Anderson Square in Georgetown and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Welcome very much. It's a wonderful day, and as we invite you to be a part of the discussion, we're going to have an excellent conversation. Invite you to be a part of a great thing that Miss Wendee Miller will be sharing with us in a second. 1 o'clock, Mr. Liebaers from the Information Commissioner's Office will join us, and we'll talk about, I say data protection, you may say data. Well, we'll find out, is it tomato, is it potato, data, data? Well, we could talk about that at 1, and then 1:30. If he gets permission to leave East End and finds a way in Georgetown, Mr. Nobi will be our guest. Boy, we can have a conversation. So stay tuned. We're going to put you in the mood to put you into the weekend to do great things.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne EBANKS, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Thank you so much for being a part of the discussion. And thanks to all of those who continually, consistently, in a very concerted, effort, make such an invaluable contribution to our community. And Ms. Wendee Miller, it's interesting that we live in at this time such as this, and it's great to be able to look back through history and see examples. And we say history doesn't repeat itself, but does it? Probably.
I feel it does.
You think so too?
Yeah,
I
really
mean,
feel so.
The scripture says there's nothing new under the sun, and yet we have people often, this is unprecedented. Is it? I don't know. But what I do know is we should make hay while the sun shines.
Yes.
All these axioms that we subscribe to, strike the anvil while the hammer is hard and blah, blah, blah. We need to do these things that are meaningful, purposeful, hopefully positive and productive. And yet, as much as we hear, to whom much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
But yet we look at ourselves and we say we have nothing. Miss Marlene keeps reminding us, you got your time, your talent, and your treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody may have more of all or some, but we all have
something, yes.
So I know you have a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing. Well, to our listeners, I know why we're here. I know of you, and I wouldn't want to say I know. Well, tell us, who are you, what you'll be doing, what you represent, because we're going to get to that place where, as a people, we'll embrace all our ancestry and all our history and our heritage. But if we live, and would you guide me, please? Because this is genuinely something that has been, burdening. Oh, it's a burden. In Cayman, if we are here for generations, if we want to have been here for decades, we want to come here anew. If we're here, let's make a positive contribution.
That's right.
And let's unite.
Yes.
It's easy to cuss and complain. It's easy to be, divisive and, derogatory. But boy, a smile is a lot easier than a frown. Less muscles, right?
Believe it. It's so true.
All right. So, as a people, let's make sure that we put the country first because it makes it better.
Yes,
all right.
1,000%.
There you go.
Good afternoon, Cayman. How you doing? My name is Wendee Miller. I've been on Mr. EBANKS shows quite sometimes. He's always had an open door to any idea or anything that either has been laid on my heart or that I feel the need as a young Caymanian to do within the community. So I am here today to let you guys know about weekend of events, I should say. The Cayman National Cultural Foundation, they had granted me one of the grants that they were distributing, and I decided to use that contribution in creating a actors workshop this weekend that will be held actually tomorrow.
This Friday, so it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, yes.
And by design, Miss Wendee wanted to be fresh in your mind, so I want to
Yes.
come on Friday. Fix your schedule.
Yes, because sometimes people tend to forget, and we are all busy, and it can slip as soon as you hear, and it slip your mind, and then some people are last minute people too as well, so it'll be fresh to them. So, so we're having a actors workshop at the Hartwell Theater tomorrow. It starts at 9 a.m. and it's open for people from the ages of 12 straight to adults. We have 2 amazing instructors who will be there to give their contribution. I mean, they have had, they've been in the community of arts. They have definitely their degrees. They're actually 2 drama teachers within the island as well. So they are really stretching their muscles. Of course, there's not much opportunity in Cayman where they can really use the full diversity of what they've learned as instructors and teachers. But I want to just give a big shout out to Miss Leslie and Miss Nadine. They will be our instructors for tomorrow. And after... before we go to that one, we're going to do it for a few hours. It's going to be intense training of improv, acting development, body and mind and movements, strategic acting skills, script and monologue reading, and so much more. So it's a compact couple hours.
Almost like what they would call it, intensive.
Yes, the intensive training, yes.
Yeah.
So with all of that, we will feed you, make sure that you're good. It's a registration fee of $25. If you have, it's on Eventpro, but if you're unable to do it online, you can give me a call on my number, 927-1645. Or you can go on the social media for Wendee Miller or Wendee345 on Instagram. So what we were going to do with that, on the Sunday, all the actors are going to then now do a performance, either a solo performance, group performance, whatever it is that the instructors see, because of course they're going to know what they can manage. And then of course it's going to be a free talent showcase. It's for all of Cayman to come out. You can come out and enjoy free entertainment, watch the actors perform. We'll have also local artists. We have Dream Chasers, Jimmy Lapierre, who will be playing as well. We have Art Nicholson. I mean, even my 5-year-old is going to be performing as well.
Well, what to say, the actor don't fall far from the stage, huh? So we should expect that, right?
Definitely. So we want to bring the culture back, doing something, within our little community, to keep the action and keep it revived.
And as you shared, we know 9 a.m. tomorrow, and go through. And Sunday we have training, but also there'll be the free sort of performance
talent showcase,
and that's open to the public.
Yes.
Come into the. Now you're going to be in the big theater or the small theater?
Both are going to be at the big theater.
Right.
So if you're unable to do the Eventpro registration, you can come early at 8:30 to pre-register if you're interested or your child is interested on the Saturday, and then the showcase will start 5:30 prompt. So the gates, gates will be open at 5.
Right. And for people, even though it's a 12-year-old, it's 2 days, but in order to be assessed and perform on Sunday, you got to be there from the Saturday, so it's a 2-day commitment.
Correct. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, the Saturday is mostly the workshop. And the Sunday is the performance. I
Right.
mean, we're expecting them to give their best. You know, we're not expecting them to be like superb, like to be out of this world. But I mean, we want to showcase what their talents truly are.
Okay.
If they know a piece or anything like that, we really want to show. Because Cayman is very talented.
You know, thank you for emphasizing that. You've always been very positive and encouraging. And I don't know if it's because many of us very consciously look and see that, or whether because of where we work or the volunteer we see it. But there's immense talent in this
You
country.
better believe it.
From the less than a 5-year-old to
Yep.
the 100-year-old.
Yep.
But for some reason, we don't celebrate and showcase.
No, we don't.
And when they do, I'm careful how I say this, but I'm very conscious in saying it. We don't somehow encourage them. We don't, celebrate them. We kind of look at them and go,
Yeah.
And not that they're better than anybody else, not that they're as good now
Right.
as they are when it comes to, maybe others from other larger populations who've had a much more sort of involved, invested approach, right? But they're starting out.
Exactly.
Not to talk out of school, but just last evening, a very, very notable gentleman was sharing, in a particular sport. We have some participants who certainly on a national stage in Cayman doing exceptionally well,
Right.
right? Not to confuse, big fish in a small pond mentality. But he says, yes, here they are in Cayman, top of their game, top of their sport. But they go to the region, they go to, other championships. They may not win,
Yeah,
but
that's
they're holding their
experience.
own and they get experience. And the football match might be by 1-0, and they lose by 1 goal. Maybe it's, another sport where 2 or 4 or 10 players, and they don't lose by a huge amount.
Right.
But even if it is, they gave their all to
That's
get
it.
experience.
That's it.
So why is it, and I emphasize that to ask, what is it about our people when we look at our own, we're quick to condemn. And even when we do congratulate, it's almost a placate. It's almost this, there's a word that comes to mind, but I think people find that inflammatory. We don't do it with the sincerity, you look at a young child and they do a great job. Hey, you're encouraging the effort.
That's it.
You say, listen, there's room for improvement, but let's work with what we have.
That's it.
So what is wrong? I mean, what is...
I don't know. To be honest, Mr. EBANKS, as a young Cayman, I can speak on behalf of several people who are trying to make it here.
Yes.
And there's many times where we sit down, we on the phone, and some of us, like, I'm a crier, so I am sitting on there bawling, and then they're like, they're just as passionate as I am when it comes to these things, and we feel, I'm going to put we, sometimes we feel neglected, where we feel like the backs are being turned on us in a way that we're trying so hard. But if we can get a push, if we can get the help, if we can get the support, like it not everybody is at the same level, like we were saying. Like and for me, when I think when we send our athletes and our people to go overseas, that's exposure, that's experience, and they would never forget that. And that would drive them and push them to want to expand their themselves. Don't take in if they have a support team, because that's another thing. If they have a support team that even when they feel like they didn't win or whatever it is, like, look, hey, we watching the other people, we learn, we push, we gonna do this again next year. It makes a drastic difference.
Yeah, man. I want to make sure I'll take the break.
Oh, sorry.
Well, when we come back, I want to invite you to share with us a little bit more about, this weekend. We said the age of 12 and up, but, who should be attending, the importance of attending, the benefits of attending. Let's talk about it.
Yes, sir.
All right. The good company of Miss Wendee Miller. So when we come back, we'll have the conversation. 1 o'clock, Mr. Liebaers from the Information Commissioner's Office will be, in the next segment after 1 to talk about data protection. Please, if you want to give us a call, 949-8037. If you want to share your, conch dinner, your turtle dinner, well, that's fine too. Bring that. Bring cornbread and, bring some sea pie if you're bringing turtle. If not, bring rice and beans too. Stay tuned. Join us right after.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Caymanbrack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Caymanbrack, are you ready for fiber? Flow Fiber is now available island-wide across Caymanbrack. Get faster speeds and a reliable internet connection only with Flow. Visit the Flow Stake Bay Store or discoverflow.co to sign up today. Flow Fiber is now available island-wide across Caymanbrack. Join Caymanbrack's only fiber network. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking to upgrade your living space or enhance your sleep sanctuary? Now is the perfect time to indulge. Tomlinson Furniture and the Mattress Gallery is having a huge Heroes Day sale starting January 23rd through the 27th. We are thrilled to celebrate our national heroes with an incredible 15% off our fully stocked store with a wide range of comfortable sofas, stylish beds, and quality mattresses. Visit our showroom today and let us help you find the perfect piece. Tomlinson Furniture and the Mattress Gallery at the 4-way stop, Walkers Road. Great looks, best prices, always.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you for joining us. And of course, the phone lines are open 949-8837, 949-6990, and WhatsApp call, message, voice note. I'm not sure what else you can do with WhatsApp, but that's 3 things that I know for sure. 925-3261. And as I welcome Miss Wendee Miller to share with us, we were having a conversation about I call it the workshop intensive for acting tomorrow. You probably got a nice fancy marketing term for it, but it's happening at our Quill. Before we share more, for those who are listening, what numbers can they call? Where can they get more information? Where can they register? How can they register? Give us a quick recap.
Yes. Okay. To register, you have the option of going on eventpro.ky.
Mm-hmm.
It will be, it's quite a long link. So if you want to click the link to register online on Eventpro, you can literally go on eventpro.ky and then you can just type in the search bar acting workshop and it should pop up.
Mm-hmm.
That's an option. Or you can go on Instagram on my page, which is Wendee, WENDEE 345. And then you can be able to see pretty much my whole page is like on it. So you can go into my link. You can go into my bio and the link is there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or V4C Productions. V number 4C Productions also has the link in the bio on Instagram. or Wendee Miller on Facebook, WENDEE Miller. Those are the options. You can give me a phone call on 927-1645, or you can email me requesting at V4C productions@gmail.com.
All right. And thanks for sharing. As you shared, this is a workshop for those 12 and up. And we'll take a call. But to the caller off air who shared, sort of in agreement with our view, we need to celebrate and promote, nurture, and encourage and provide opportunities for our own.
Yes.
And tomorrow, that 12-year-old or that 112-year-old can, expand and develop the skill set. So we will talk more about the benefits of it. But let's join this other caller. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Buenas tardes, mi amigo.
Man, when I for some reason, you see how you don't see real. I was about to say, hola, mi amigo, ¿qué tal? But I didn't do that because my Spanish is almost as bad as my English. But you know what? I appreciate it, and one of the many languages that we speak fluently in this country. So, thank you, man. But, necesito en inglés, por favor, tu audiencia, ¿no? So, speak to me in English, my friend.
How is the señora?
Muy bueno. Es una bonita. Muy bueno, señor. He asks, how is the lady?
I'm bueno.
She said, English.
Listen, English, please.
Hey, you're not in Miami, You're not in Miami,
Bien is good, right?
Bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Me too.
I can see Mr. Chloe in Spanish class. Yeah. Say, Mr. Brown, listen to me. When I need you to speak in English, you wouldn't. When you speak in Spanish, you wouldn't. But do some Tagalog now. Pretend like you're Mr. Raymond in the back now and speak to us in Tagalog. Impress us.
Oh, my goodness. No, I don't want to do that right now.
All right. So it sounds like to me now that you are calling so you can register tomorrow and you can be one of the stars on the stage.
Well, actually, I got some stories that I want to share with Miss Wendee. Yeah, there's some stories that I did some on video, and I want to. There's a certain story that I want to sort of present to her.
Okay.
See what they can do with it, and see what actor or it was a single role. So I would have probably choose an actor or something. I just donated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
Listen, that's it, man.
I'm telling you, this is brilliant Cayman sort of thing. This is wonderful. We Miss Wendee and a lot of other people, CNCF people, and all this the people involved. We have a lot of opportunities to advertise Cayman in many different lights. People might want to put Cayman in their own light, but we can correct things, and we can do it through stories, we can do it through song, we can do it through so many different things.
Mr. Brown, if I might, we have a listener who is offering, if you are able, you have the time and stuff to attend the workshop tomorrow, would be willing to, if you would accept, the offer. This is the love that is in this community. Would like to bless you with, attending the workshop if you have the time.
Oh, wow.
And you can go and they would, sponsor the workshop.
That's awesome, guys.
Is that something that you have time? I know you're very busy and you have other things on. Is that something that you would want to do?
Well, I don't want to go too early and I don't want to go too late. But I just
you remind me of a joke a friend said, but I can't sit on there. All right. Well, listen. Before you...
I like it. It's wonderful to me. It's a beautiful idea.
Right.
And I like to be part of stuff like that. And yeah.
All right. So not to belabor it, but how about this, right? And this is the love that is in this community.
Yes.
And I like the wonderful listener who has offered that. if you decide to attend and you wish, I think it's not inappropriate. I want to be inspired by this, this wonderful
Please
person
do.
who's offered. You can attend Saturday.
Yes.
You can be a part of the training, the workshop, whichever, and either me and or this other person, we will. It's only $25.
Yeah.
I think that can buy 2 biscuits, Miss Susan. I'm not sure. It might only buy 1. I'm just kidding. We will undertake to give Miss Wendee, and I know she know that we're good for the $25. It might have to pay in installments.
No, don't worry about it.
I just.
Your name is good, Mr.
I just teasing. But if you like the rest of us, I know we have a lot on. 5 o'clock on Sunday evening, go to the free. I can afford to pay for that one. Go to the free performance, right? To see the talent. Not to get away from it too much, but was there anything else you want to quickly share with us before we go to the break?
I'm excited about what they're doing. I'm always about the Hartwell and all the actors and the foreign actors as well. Because we look up to them and we follow them. All the entertainment people. Keep up the good work, Miss Wendee, and
thank you.
And you have top class talent beside you. I think he deserves an award. Who does the award?
I agree. So talented.
Well, thank you for giving me the flowers and the taste of chocolate while I'm alive. But thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And you keep it up, man. You keep inspired. You keep purposeful. You remain grounded, and you encourage us. So enjoy your afternoon. I'm prayerful that we'll get to talk to you later on before the day is out. All right.
Okay, so I'll try to call her if she don't mind, if she'll accept it. The story, it's a video. They can put an actor in it.
We can talk. We can definitely talk on it for sure.
All right, man. Take care. Okay.
Blessings.
Okay, sir. Miss Wendee, respectfully.
No, that's fine.
I won't say this too loudly, but there's someone that would have a little more leeway. Miss Susan, she runs a tight ship. So let's take the break.
Let's do it.
And when we come back, you could remind our people how they can register. We can talk more about it, and then always a pleasure. You see what happens on a Friday? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Welcome to a new year with Digicel. Elevate your mobile experience by switching to our prepaid or postpaid plans. Enjoy more data, seamless communication, and uninterrupted entertainment. Plus, make the switch now for a chance to win exciting rewards. Stay connected, entertained, and make 2024 your year with Digicel. Because better connections make a better year.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
In 2022, 15 people lost their lives on Cayman's roads, and 2,915 road traffic collisions resulted in 32 serious injuries.
So far in 2023, 9 more people fell victim to road fatalities.
Parents lost sons and daughters.
Children lost their mothers, fathers, and caregivers.
Young lives were ended before they even began, and stories were cut short before they could be told.
But what if?
We learned to share the road.
We stopped texting and driving.
We did not let our friends drive after a few drinks.
What if we just took the time to slow down and think?
What if, as a community, we rose to the challenge of keeping our roads safe? What if we came together to stop these accidents and fatalities?
What if we all walked the road to zero and decided no more in 2024?
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks to our guest, Miss Wendee, W-E-N-D-E. Miss Susan, that could be a commercial. Yeah. Come on, Wendee, do it again.
W-E-N-D-E-E.
Yeah, I can try to go that high, but I don't know. I don't think that would work for you. Wendee. I sound like somebody choking me. No, we laugh, and we will take this next call, and then we'll talk about, for the next few minutes about the workshop intensive. Let's go to the phones. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, my friend. How are you today, man?
Okay, and you?
I say this for 2 reasons. One is true, but 2, even if it wasn't, I call those things that aren't as if they were. Listen, despite being, in a sling and somewhat, inconvenience, man, any better, it would be to me. I'm good, man. Thank God. Thank God. I am truly.
Yeah, good afternoon to you guys too, man.
Good afternoon.
Yes, well, concerning AI robots, as young people, do you all have a concern about AI robots replacing you when it comes to your work here in the Cayman Islands?
From the perspective of acting and creating and singing and that sort of thing in that role?
Well, any type of work that the AI robot are able to do, that they're able to replace human beings.
Wow, okay.
And do you all believe, as young people, do you believe that the House of Parliament should pass a law stating that AI robots are not allowed to replace other people from their work?
Yeah. Hey, that is an excellent question. I'll ask Ms. Ben if she wishes to reply. But could I invite you, if you so choose, at 1:30, you can call back. If not, I will make a note and ask that question publicly, because that's an interesting discussion, given not just the automation of certain things in relation to when you call a place and your telephone answering, but robots and robotics, and even now AI being utilized in hiring people, being used in farming, not just the machinery, but actually the robotics. Even in relationships, it seems like, but anyway.
Nowadays, yeah.
So, do you want to share your view now, or you want us to also revisit it at 1:30?
Yeah, I think 1:30 would be better doing.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being so amenable. Thank you, right? All right.
Welcome.
Well, Ms. Wendee, only if you want to weigh in, because as he was saying that, I was thinking about it in the artistic space where we're hearing now.
That's what's happening right now in the States. That's why they strike. They had a strike. It was a big issue. So that's a good conversation. But
exactly.
We refuse to do so. I mean, it's unacceptable. We have to stand up as a people and say no.
Well, the use of autonomous vehicles in warfare. Anyway,
it's a whole different kettle of fish right there.
Yeah. Anyway, I have a couple of comments, but let me hold on. So I recognize we got less than 7 minutes. So tomorrow.
Yes. So tomorrow, actually, if it's okay with you, Mr.
Of course, yes,
I would love to bless two. Let's bless two parents, if it's able, even one.
Yeah.
To bless their child to be a part of it.
Yeah.
We will be willing to accept 2 more children from 12 and up to be a part of the workshop if they're willing to take part.
All right. I mean,
if they want to.
Do you want them to just reach out to you separately and say, hey, so the first 2? Okay.
Yeah, the first 2. Yeah, they can reach out to me. WhatsApp me, actually. WhatsApp me on 927-1645, and the first 2 texts, I will respond to that. How about that?
That'd be the easiest way, and then maybe send it to the audit committee. They can verify and say, here, timestamp. You can never get away from that old life. Huh? But thank you for offering that.
Yeah.
That's
our youths need it. Come on, man. There's so much talent. Like I said before, I mean, in the youths, there's so many people who have come to me and said, boy, Wendee, I want to be a part of this, or boy, I want that. But for you to be in front of like television, because I do a lot of television, reality TV, movies and stuff like that here. For us to be in front of the camera, there's a lot of people who are gifted, but a lot of us have to go through training. I've spent thousands of dollars in training. So it's always good to stretch those muscles.
Would it be okay if I complimented what you offered and go to the other spectrum?
Okay.
We have a lot of people who are retired, semi-retired, in that wherever they worked before, they're not, every day going to that workplace.
Right.
So I don't want to say 50 and above or 55 above or 60 and above or 65. You decide if you want to give it age. But those individuals at that end of the spectrum, as opposed to
listen
the
to
youth,
me, to 100 years old, you come and you can take
over
part.
60 and above?
You better believe it.
So anybody over 60 and above, I would like to encourage them and invite them. And they to attend because they have life experience, right?
Yes.
They may have had an interest in doing something like this, maybe writing, maybe putting together a script for something, maybe some other form of creating. But they've had careers, they've had children, they've sacrificed. Now let's invest in them, give them some. So if there are 2, 60 and above, who want to be a part of it,
come on, Ms. EBANKS.
Not that they can't afford it, and not that I want them to be disrespected. I want them to feel the love and say, gesture, thank you for who you are, for what you've done. If you can tomorrow, let Miss Wendee know, and you let me know, and that way those individuals can take a photograph of them, because that would encourage other people.
Keep going,
Mr. D. Liebaers, we realize that he's in that creative space, and we forget that he's not a teenager. I mean, you listen to him and see him, he's spinning the gigs and he bend down, pick him up, and you think he's a teenager. And if you ask him, but he's in that category too.
Right.
And yet these individuals have so much. And as he shared, if we can involve them, invite them, include them, that instruction that they provide, not only would it incentivize and motivate and encourage, but it would actually help to nurture.
Yes.
So you see the 70-year-old doing this thing.
Trust me, it's giving me goosebumps.
So if you're in that category, recipient of an award in the past or not, if you have time tomorrow, be a part of this one. That would be amazing.
Be awesome. That would be so
multi-generational interaction.
Listen. Oh my goodness, that would be amazing. Come on.
So let's do that. Anyway, so that's 927-1645.
Yes, 927-1645. So reach out to me, or you can, for the young ones who actually know it, can make it easier. You can also sign up for those who want to sign up their kids who's of 65 and older. If you're interested in the workshop, once again, you can contact that number, or you can email me on v4cproductions@gmail.com, or you can go on my Instagram page on Wendee, WENDEE 345, or V4C Productions on Instagram.
Tomorrow at Harquail from 9 a.m.
Well, 9 a.m. Yeah, but 8:30 is pre-registration.
Yeah.
So if you're unable to get any of those things, you can come in the morning and register.
And then for the wider public, free performance, 5 o'clock.
Free
on
television.
Sunday.
Yeah, come watch the Caymanian people come out and enjoy.
Well, if it's okay and if it's necessary to be more convenient to you, we can do it by phone. But I want in the weeks coming, reach out to me and come back on and tell me how it went.
Oh, yeah.
Bring 1 or 2 more if you wish.
Oh, if they're willing to. Yeah, sure.
If we need to do it at a time that is a school break to accommodate whatever we need. Because I want us to see our people, right?
Yes,
and I want us
hear
to
their heart.
embrace. And as much as we have links to other cultures and nationalities and countries,
right?
If we're here, let's celebrate what is the wonderful Cayman in this country.
Yes.
And man, there's nothing better, right, than sitting across the table with your brother and fellowshipping. So
that's right.
Let's spend the thanks, man. And
Thank you for having
closing
me.
thoughts, man.
Just keep pushing, keep grinding, and always remember to put God first.
Yeah, boy, and people don't believe it. A sinner like me, if he can have mercy, imagine what he do for you.
Listen.
There's more of a saint. Boy, I tell you, boy. Anyway, thank you very much,
Thank you
Mom.
for having me.
All right. Tomorrow, remember the workshop. So check out Miss Wendee 927-1645 in WhatsApp, or as she say V4C. As her email, and then Instagram Wendee 345.
Yes.
There you go. All right, we're gonna pause and go to the news break, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about data protection. Another fine gentleman who is an exemplary individual when it comes to ethics and integrity, a strong work ethic, and truly a remarkable intellect. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
This is the People's Radio Station. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Department of Commerce and Investments offices in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac is closed today, Friday, January 26th, starting from 1 p.m. for a staff meeting. The offices will reopen on Monday, January 29th at 8:30 a.m., and DCI's business licensing counter will reopen at 9 a.m. In international news, an ex-employee of World Wrestling Entertainment has accused the company's boss, Vince McMahon, of sexually trafficking her to entice wrestling talent. Janelle Grant says she was also sexually assaulted at WWE in a case filed at a Connecticut district court on Thursday. Mr. McMahon's spokesperson said the case was replete with lies and his client would vigorously defend himself. In 2022, he stepped back as WWE's chair and CEO amid sexual misconduct claims. He was reinstated as chair of WWE a year later after the company had concluded an investigation into the allegations. For decades, the smiling mugshot of Satoshi Kirishima has featured on wanted posters outside police stations across Japan. After 49 years on the run, authorities think they have got their man. A patient at a hospital near Tokyo has claimed he is Kirishima, a member of a militant group behind several deadly bombings in the 1970s. Police are waiting for DNA tests on the man who has been admitted under a different name, suffering terminal cancer. Police have made contact with the man and are now working to confirm his identity. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. Following the 1932 hurricane, like most young men growing up in Cayman in that era, the call of the sea was heard more strongly than any other. Keith Tibbetts Sr. of Cayman Brac was no different. After assisting with the rebuilding of the family home, resurrecting the family car, and helping other relatives and the community rebuild, he built and sold several catboats before going to Jamaica to seek employment as a seaman, and his long distinguished career got started on September 25th, 1935, when he stepped on board the schooner Admiral Sturdy, which his father built and was later sold to the Colonel family. A year later, he joined the Canadian banana boat Lady Somers in Canada. During his seagoing year, he visited several ports in England and made 11 trips around the continent of Africa, including a distinguished military career. This was part 3 of a special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman Talk today. Email a message to Sterling at asksterlingdwayne.com. That's asksterlingdwayne.com.
Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Why, if you pay attention to Friday, you may learn a lot of stuff. Every day I learn something. Maybe I'll tell you about that later. Well, he doesn't mind. I must share, and it's not just because of the good Belgian chocolate or the excellent football team or the wonderful setting with Mr. Jan Liebaers. As I look at you and I've shared just then publicly and now, you're a man of stature, integrity, strong work ethic, but ethics that bring to the table a sense of discipline and humility that says, let's do the right thing because the right thing needs to be done. And now that we have legislation like we have with respect to freedom of information and data protection, it's crucial that we're doing what we're doing so that any and all understand there's a level of responsibility, there's a level of accountability. It doesn't matter who you are, there's no impunity if you run afoul. And maybe that's what puts societies on a good footing, so that as parents we are an example to our children, as parliamentarians and teachers and policymakers and the wider public. If we see that, that becomes the ethos of who we are, so that raises the bar. I hope you don't mind, but I always look at you from a distance and think, an acumen, an intellect, but a sense, man. So thanks, man.
Yeah, I didn't bring any Belgian chocolate, just so everybody knows.
No, and I know, and I consciously say that because look at where we are in history. Look at all the vitriolic comments that are being made, not just on the political platforms. Look at the things that are transpiring, and yet we expect things to be positive if all we see is negative. We expect good to be done if all there is bad. And as much as I'm a recipient sometimes of compliment. The first caller said, we should give him an award. We don't give people flowers while they can. We don't show and point to an example. Yes, there's the celebrity because he or she is an athlete or a performer. Mm-hmm. But what about the person across the table from us, the person in the desk next to us, the person, for those of us who still live in the same beds, right next to us? Do we see them, love them, celebrate with them, share with them? Our sibling, our spouse, our parent? We don't. And here we have two people. I'll come to you in a second because, gentlemen will go before as knights and gallantry would always have. So, Jan, it is truly an honor to be able to point to people and say, listen, that's an example that we should follow.
Well, thank you so much. I can't really I don't know what to
say.
No, except that, of course, I always like to come back to this show because I hear such wonderful compliments.
No, but thank you. But it's about being sincere. Because I recall, and the reason why I emphasize this, and not to belabor it, I remember as a people, how many of us actually are recipients of compliments and take it on board? And I would say, start on foolishness. What do you mean? What do you want to know? Mm-hmm. And yet, is only when something happens that we realize how important. And when we fail to see the example that is before us, the importance of taking up the mantle, the importance of pointing to someone, your boss, the head of some important entity, and say, listen, you're the place. You know, you don't need to publicly humiliate them, but you need to hold them accountable. Because if you can do that and get away with it, there's a child somewhere going, see, right? And it could be, right?
Yeah. I mean, ethics really is something that's on our mind all the time. I mean, it may sound sort of quite grandiose or something to say that, but it really is something that keeps us very, very busy to think what is the right thing to do. And of course, we work on the basis very closely of legislation, of laws, the Data Protection Act in this instance, but also the Freedom of Information Act. And our office also, of course, is involved in maladministration and complaints against the police and whistleblowing. So and all those things are laying down certain rules, but there's still room for interpretation, and that's where we come in, and that's where the ombudsman comes in, and we try to do our very best to carefully balance all those different views. Sometimes people have different opinions about something, and it's not like one person is 100% right and the other is 100% wrong. We try to find the way forward and find, what is the ethical, what is the right, the fair decision to make.
I want to ask, right, in that, as I try to write with my left hand, I write bad enough with my right hand, much less my left hand. Interpretation, right, of things and discretion. Are they synonymous? Are they interchangeable? Whereas we often hear where you can legislate for morality. We hear people say, well, it may, be legal, but is it ethical? And there are those of us who would say, I work for this company because they're looking for somebody who has a flexible moral compass, right? As much as we joke and jest, it's almost creating in society this thing that constantly divides, devalues, and degrades the standards. And how do we raise that bar so that,
Well, I mean, in my own experience in freedom of information since 2000 and this is literally 25 years now. 15 years that we've had that. I'm losing my marbles here. 15 years, and and data protection is now the 5th year. Later in the year, it will be 5 years as well. So that those laws are written to be balanced. I mean, it's not about 100% this or 100% that. It's freedom of information. Some people still think that it's about disclosing everything, and that's not true. It's about balancing what can be disclosed and what cannot be disclosed. And data protection is very similar in that sense. It's not 100% about, well, you have the right. The only thing that's absolute in data protection is actually one of the rights of an individual that we all have, which is the right not to receive direct marketing. And that's actually in the law, and that's an absolute thing. There are no conditions attached to that. That's just something that you can make a complaint about and that you can make it stop. But otherwise, everything is about balancing, that one view, one interest versus another.
Can I step back 1 second? I get so excited when I'm in a company of intellects where I can learn, because it's like to me, this is like a free class, right? I get to come away with more knowledge, be not only better informed, but inspired to question certain things and say, okay, not only is there a law I can point to, but there's an example, and there's this call to raise the bar. So, Jan, would you do the honors, not only just a quick intro, your title and position, but also your wonderful colleague? Would that be fine?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Jan Liebaers. I'm the Deputy Ombudsman for Information Rights. We have two parts to the office. One is about what we call the complaints side, which deals with maladministration and with complaints against the police and with whistleblowing. And the other side is the side that I'm the deputy for, and that's the information rights side, and that deals with freedom of information and data protection. And here with me today is Trudy Ann Martensen, who is the Senior Data Protection Analyst. So she is dealing with data protection, but the way our team is set up now, and it's changed a little bit in the last year, is that all our all our analysts are working both in FOI and data protection, because we find that there's very often an overlap and there's somewhat similar principles. So we find that it's useful to basically have all our analysts work in both areas.
Okay.
And that's it. But this is Trudy Ann Martinson.
Hi.
Well, thank you for coming on board, and thank you earlier for reminding me. Always in this community, but I know you, and then oh yeah, from here. So, and that plays in because we are the sum of our experiences, and the work that we do now sometimes is informed by the work we did then, and the skill sets come. And it's not just the technical skills; it's the life experience. So you bring to your role, all of these, not just the academic training, but the practical experience. Yeah. So. Let's talk about you, eh? Come on, you have time to breathe. A few seconds. And then, that's good. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine. This is probably my first time on the radio.
I know.
So
it's okay. It's only 3 of us.
Yeah.
The only other person listening is my mama. And if she's having lunch now, she might be paying attention. So don't worry about it. It's all good. No, thank you for coming on. And you could not be in better company than Mr. Jan. So tell us what your role, tell us what you want to share initially. And we have tons of questions.
Well, as Jan said, I'm the Senior Data Protection Analyst on the Information Rights team. So I mostly specialize in data protection, but we're doing a bit of cross-training with the team on FOI work. So that's still undertaking training in that. But I also assist the team with training because we have a lot of new staff, so I'm helping them, getting them trained up to be able to investigate a lot of our cases, and I provide advice as well. And if they get stuck with anything, then I'm here to kind of support them. Otherwise, we're here to talk about International Data Protection Day, which, as you know, it's on Sunday. And this year's theme that's been celebrated globally is take control of your data. So we've centered a lot of our information that we're putting out there in the public around that theme. And we've been putting out a number of tips on our Facebook page. I think we're on our tip number 4 that's going to be going out today. So that provides us some practical tips on how to safeguard your personal information and ensuring that things don't get misused or exposed. So and also, so in addition to you taking steps to protect yourself, then it's also reminding people about the rights that you have to,
I want to expound on that theme, right? And are you taking control? Because some of us don't, we've had this discussion before. I've done it consciously because I come from an informed perspective. You go to, it's usually overseas, you go to a business, and as you're at the checkout, you're paying for your goods. They ask you certain information. You say, no, you don't need that. And well, I was told to ask for it. Yeah, you were told, but now I'm telling you no in the most polite way. And now we see that practice increasingly here. I want your phone number. Are you going to call me later? Are we going to go somewhere? What do you need my phone number? And we're without realizing that we're compliant, we're quick to acquiesce. But how is that information being used? But before I ask more about that, if I might go back to you, as the senior data analyst, we understand what an analyst should do. If it's not improper to ask, so that people get an understanding. Stuff comes to your desk, you're the senior person, you got to check before it goes up or down or crossways. What does that involve, in terms of analyzing the request, the information, the whole process? Is that okay to ask? Is that the right way to ask it?
Well, we can kind of give you an overview.
Yes,
it really depends on what it is. So we could get just a basic inquiry, someone asking about, how to make file a breach notification, for instance. And then we say, well, all you have to do have our form on our internet. We have a web form now that you can access on our website, and you can fill that out and submit it. Comes straight through to our case management system. Or if you're not able to access, we have a printable PDF form that you can then fill out and submit your breach notification. It could be just basic inquiries, and then also we might receive complaints from the public about various issues surrounding the processing of the personal data, and that could take many forms. So we'd have to analyze, what is the circumstances of this case, how complex it is, and who would be best placed to further investigate this, and we'll kind of filter the cases throughout the team that way. So you have complaints from the public, and then of course our data breach notifications that come in very regularly. So of course it comes in, we assess this just how severe it is, so whether it's a low-risk breach, so then we'll have a process in place for expediting processing the low-risk breaches, and of course we'll have the more high-level breaches that might require more time and more expertise depending on the situation. The circumstances vary widely.
Indeed.
From your
So if you think of, sorry to interrupt, but if you think of all the different ways that personal information is out there, I mean, think of all the things that government does. Think of all the businesses that you visit, that you use, your bank, your healthcare, your school, your grocery store, your whatever, all kinds of, and including also even your church, your voluntary organization, your strata plan. All of those are actually under the Data Protection Act, and they all use personal data one way or another. So all of those, there are certain obligations that should be followed, and there are certain rights that individuals have. So you can imagine the kind of different context, the breadth of the situations that we get represented in the complaints that people make to us. Right? It's absolutely amazing. I mean,
as we speak to data protection, perhaps for emphasis, does data protection and data protection legislation apply to public and private sector, individual and corporate, or is it only, does it apply across the board?
It does.
Okay, so all of us, no matter whether you are a private sector entity, there's a multinational corporation listed on a global stock exchange.
The definition of established, which is defined in the law.
Okay. Yeah. Secondly, now you reference in relation to data freedom of information, investigating maladministration. Does that mean only government, and public entities? Does it mean, hey, listen, I don't like how my bank did something?
So freedom of information and maladministration is only the public sector.
Right.
Yes.
So,
and of course, complaints against the police is only about the police.
Right.
But we also have whistleblowing legislation, and that does cover also public and private sectors.
Okay.
So data protection and whistleblowing, public and private.
Okay.
The rest of our office, FOI, maladministration, complaints against police is only public sector.
I know that we probably know that, but I really appreciate you repeating and reminding us. So that hospitality entity or that financial services entity, if someone in there sees something that doesn't look right, whistleblowing, they could do that just as they could relative to government.
I would suggest that's not an area that we deal with, so I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Neither.
and I'm sorry,
we won't go off there.
So I'd rather say inform yourself. The legislation, the law itself is available on our website, www.ombudsman.ky. So have a look at that and just be very aware of the different steps that need to be taken in terms of whistleblowing. Yeah.
And we certainly maybe at some point in the future have the right people having a discussion, because we've seen that becoming, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but we know in some jurisdictions like the US in particular, in order to compensate, incentivize, otherwise to recognize that once a whistleblower is a whistleblower, there's challenges. They obviously have ways to compensate that person whenever there's a fine. So we won't do that. But if I can go back to data protection and maladministration, you say the police, but does the judiciary come into there? And are they in a separate entity in terms of investigation, FOI? To what extent do we query? Would we do that at another time discussion, you think?
Well, we could, but in FOI there is sort of a carve out, if you will, for the judicial functions of a judge or of a court, so you can't sort of second guess a ruling made by a judge. That's not what FOI is for.
That's what the higher courts are for.
If the courts allow access under the disclosure process of the courts, if they allow access to certain documents, so on, that's fine. But FOI is not there to second guess that. That would not be appropriate. But on the other hand, in the I'm talking about FOI now.
Right.
In the FOI Act, there is an exception to that, which is administrative information. So the courts would still, for instance, be have to, and they do all the time, answer FOI requests about, say, finance or about employment or about things like that that are more administrative in nature, that are not about the judicial functions of the court. Yeah.
Yes. And thanks for that, because I think sometimes we don't realize what it is, and you're before the court, you don't like the ruling, you get leave to apply to a higher court, till that process is exhausted. That's what the court's judiciary is for, right? If I may ask then, with data protection and the theme, are there any things that we, the individual, perhaps there's a form that we've been asked to fill out, perhaps we're online and we want access to the website, and we got to provide certain things. Maybe we're at a checkout, at the retailer, and we ask information. Are there any things that we can legally refuse to provide, or name, or phone number, or blood type, whatever? I mean, are there things if we ask them? Because many of us would just give it because we want the thing.
Trudy Ann will know more about that than me, actually, so I'll let her speak.
It entirely depends on what it is they're asking for, because first of all, they need to inform you.
May I respectfully just pull that mic a little closer to you?
Oh, sorry.
Because I think what we're going to do is later on, we're going to have a sing along.
Okay.
All right. Is that better?
I'll be hiding under the table.
I'll be at the door, man.
I mean, it entirely depends. Because first of all, before you even provide your personal information to any company, they got to inform you of what it is they're collecting and why they're collecting, what's the purpose, right? And that usually takes the form of a privacy notice. And that should be done at the point they're collecting your personal information. Now, given that, if you're still unhappy with the amount of information that they're requiring you to provide, you can then go back to them and ask them to justify why you're asking me for this and it's not covered in your privacy notice. Now, there are some information like that it might be required for you to provide because they're legally obligated to collect it. So in that case, they still need to make that known in their privacy notice. It should cover why they're collecting the information that they're asking you for. And you of course, you have a right to refuse to provide it, but then also they might not then continue to provide the service. So then that's where we might be able to come in if you come to us now and make a complaint. So look, this company has asked me to provide too much information, and as such, I don't want to provide that, and no, I'm not able to use the service. So then we can then look into that and see if they've been compliant with, say, the third principle, which covers excessive processing of personal information, and determine whether or not they violated that. And obviously that takes a whole form of asking them questions, asking the complainant questions, and then ask them to provide their submissions to support why they're doing what they're doing, and then make a determination. So yeah, it's a whole process, obviously, but
we sometimes joke that we should have T-shirts that say "It depends."
Yeah, it really really depends.
Because it really does depend. Because of course, as you will realize, there are a lot of situations when a privacy notice is not required. I mean, for instance, the police is investigating you because they think you've committed a crime. They don't have to give you a privacy notice to say, hey, this is what we're doing and this is why. There are rules about what they should be doing in that situation, but not this kind of thing.
So in that case, with respect to data protection, does our data protection legislation only apply to companies operating in Cayman? So you went to company A and they said, I want this, and this from you. And you go, well, no, I don't want that. And so you don't provide it. They don't provide the service. They come to your office. Is it only to Cayman, or is it that there could be a company based elsewhere? Let's say you're internet based and you click on and they say, nope, I need this. How does it work?
So again, that takes us back to how the law defines whether a controller is established here, right? So of course you have your registered companies here, they're local, they're captured by the law. Then you'll have a situation where it's a company that's established overseas, but they may be processing personal data here through, say, a local representative or whatnot. Yes, they would also be captured once the processing is happening here, regardless of whether they're overseas. They are captured. Now, if it is a situation where they are established overseas and they're not processing anything at all within Cayman, then they're outside of our jurisdiction. We won't have any, we'd say,
jurisdiction.
No jurisdiction.
Yeah, we don't have jurisdiction to investigate that.
Yeah.
So you might access a company's website, say hosted in the U.S. It's a U.S. company, no ties to Cayman, and you provide them with your personal information, and they misuse it, they breach the data, and your data is out there. You would not have any recourse under the Cayman Islands Data Protection Act. You would have to see that recourse in that jurisdiction in the U.S., whatever law that might apply to that. So, and that takes us back to, say, even the 8th principle, when it talks about overseas transfers of data, obviously that would even apply to a situation where you yourself provide your personal information to an overseas entity that with no ties to here. But entities established here under the law would have to take certain things into consideration before they can even send your data overseas, and they might do so for various purposes, right? So that's a whole other conversation.
I can imagine,
So it gets very complex very quickly.
So for illustrative purposes then, let's say we're sitting at a desk in Cayman or at, home or elsewhere, and we log on to a particular company's website, and it comes up, to continue clicking, that thing there, and it's their privacy thing. I've never read it. I like to read, but I haven't. I have a friend who did, and he can quote the page and the paragraph, and it's fine print. And he says, do you know this company will use that information for that? I'm like, I didn't even know. But if you refuse to accept it, or they say manage your settings, and you try to, again, you need to be a Philadelphia lawyer, my uncle tells me, to understand it. That's a company that doesn't operate here. We want to use their website to read their article or look at their products, and we can't. We have no recourse here. So we're kind of betwixt and between, huh?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
complicated.
It's a complicated world out there especially when you think about social media and so on, and people don't really, I think, realize. And I do it too. I mean, I'll say yes. A new app. Okay, yes, I want access. But I do, maybe because of the kind of work we do and so on, I do try to read those statements, and I do try to. And this is one of our tips actually, is actually to make sure that those settings are. Unless you want otherwise, but that you are consciously choosing for the most privacy protective settings, when can we do this, can we do this, can we do this? I tend to go no. There may be some technical things that that may need to be gathered from your computer to just make everything work fine, and that's fine if it's purely that. But if it's about all the things that they know about me, and then they're going to share it with 300 companies from all over the place. No, I don't. I choose not to do that. So that's an important thing, is an awareness of that. I think
that's why I think your theme is so timely, and we hear words like analytics and data points and all these things. And yes, we watch the documentaries, but do we really understand? Even those of us who may think we have a keen understanding, and yet how casual we are with our data, and then how offended the people in the circle become when we say, I'm sorry, you don't need that. So when we come back from this break, can we expound more on the theme, have you share with us as you wish, and maybe remind us that just like our health, we need to be the best champions in not only protecting and promoting, but ensuring that we understand. Would that be fine?
Yep.
And then we can have that sing along? All right.
Okay.
All right, Miss Susan is right there. If you want to take a call, 949-8037, 949-6990, and then you can WhatsApp call, 925-3261. Your data protection. It's your data, so protect it. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
As a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You asked, and we listened. The Water Authority's new customer portal is here. The new and improved platform lets you manage your account easily and more independently from a user-friendly design. With the new customer portal, you can view and pay your bill online, schedule bill payments, make payments on multiple accounts at one time, manage tenant and landlord accounts, view your consumption history, make service requests, and so much more. The service is also available to tenant accounts. Visit www.waterauthority.ky to sign up today.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At Valley Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit Valley Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with Valley Med Pharmacy.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Imagine a future where every Caymanian has an affordable home to cherish. The Ministry of Housing is calling on you to help shape this future. Be a part of the Cayman Islands Public and Affordable Housing Policy. Go now to www.cihousingplan.org, the Share My Ideas section, and be heard. Or join in person at public consultations held the 30th of January at 7 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Center in Cayman Brac. Little Cayman residents may participate virtually. Open for everyone, a special virtual public consultation will also be held on February 1st from 12 to 1 p.m. via CIG TV, YouTube, and Facebook. For more information, contact Public Works at CI Housing Plan at public-works.org or send WhatsApp message to 1332-287-9037. Together, we are building a brighter, more sustainable housing future for the Cayman Islands. Your ideas, your voice, your future. Let's shape it together.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us on a Friday. Perhaps as we go into the weekend and celebrate and do all the good things that we're going to do, we recognize that International Data Protection Day is going to also be celebrated on Sunday. Mr. Jan Liebaers with his colleague Mr. Jan joins us. As we talk about it, may I ask, how important is data protection, and B, in your personal, and or professional perspective, how serious do you think we, the general public, not just the data protection manager, if there's such a title, the individual employee or even the individual, in saying, you know what, this is serious? I mean, are we flippant about it? Nah, no big deal.
So I don't know if you know this, but I have a history background. I mean, I don't mean that I'm old, that too, but
well, I'm glad you said that.
But I and if you think about it in history, technology has evolved, and nowadays technology is evolving enormously quickly, right? AI being the latest example, but and as human beings, we've always sort of run a little bit behind that, and certainly in terms of our rules and our morals and our ethics and our legislation, our laws have always ran behind that technology. The technology is developed, and then we figure out what we're going to do with it or how what rules should apply. So it's the same thing with data protection. Privacy is not a new concept. I mean, that's been around forever, but it's basically under threat, if you will, in new ways because of the new technology, social media, the web, etc., and pretty soon artificial intelligence. And so you end up with situations where the law is just like everything else, catching up. So data protection is not the answer; is just the best answer we have right now. To an ongoing and an ongoing development and an ongoing situation. And so as that evolves, we're going to have to update our legislation and at some point, bring it more in sync with that new technology as well.
If then I may ask, we hear many, not just in this jurisdiction or region, but globally, not just in the international news media, but even in presentations many of us attend. Oh, if you don't have that to hide or worry about, no harm, no foul. I share to ask, when we look at the installation of, say, CCTV, either by law enforcement or intelligence agencies, by private businesses as security measures, private individuals around their homes, a lot of data, images and the like is being continually collected. With that in mind, to what extent, I don't want to use the phrase police state, even though I put that out there, but to what extent are we, or should we be concerned that no matter where we go, we're constantly being, so that level of privacy, not that you're hiding anything, not that you're sneaking around, but you don't have a space, and because it's the road and the public space, or it's the bank and you in there in the banking hall, there's no space where you are not being invaded, if I may put it that way. Madam, your thoughts? The intellect amongst us should talk first. Go right ahead.
Well, I mean, it's a tough question.
It is.
So
that's what we asked her.
No, I mean, it's becoming ubiquitous. It's becoming it's everywhere, and we all use it and we all ascribe to it one way or another. And it can be very, very scary if you think about where is this leading. But that's precisely why we need laws like the Data Protection Act, and we need to make sure that they are kept up to date, because they set certain rules, and they don't just set those rules on one person or one type of organization. The Data Protection Act, part of why it's actually complicated is because it applies to so many different areas, so many different contexts. I mentioned schools, healthcare, government, everything government does, law enforcement. I mean, everything you can think of involves personal data. And so the law is written for all of those. So it starts off with principles and rights and obligations, and it's fairly general, and it's not easy to understand sometimes. And we do our best. We answer inquiries. We have a website, etc., which explains a lot. But it's complicated. But it's inevitably complicated because the problem is complicated. The problem we're addressing is complicated. And at the same time, I want to say, if you understand some of the basics, you can sort of get a sense of that it's actually based on simple ideas. And those are the principles of the law. And there's explicitly stated 8 principles. And if you think of those, you read those, Schedule 1 of the Data Protection Act, if anyone's interested, available on our website, then all of those make sense. You say, this makes sense, this makes sense, It's just that, what does that mean in practice? How do we balance it off in practice? That's a key question, and that's what we're here for.
So then, if I hear you correctly, it's not, only, like I said, there's legislation, but it's the enforcement. We have these principles, but what's the application? So back to my point, not to make it esoteric nor an academic conversation, but if we use, say, law enforcement, if we have where disinformation, for want of a better word, is out there. We recognize that the use of face recognition. There's so much technology that's being utilized that your very gate, they employ ability to deploy a sound and detect whether it's a gunshot or otherwise. Their use of things. So in a society that is, if you'd allow me to use the word, bombarded, inundated by so much data collection, that I was reminded earlier today of a comment I made, presumably a long time ago, that the one thing that we're going to crave and it become the most sought after commodity is our privacy. And I said that, and she said yes. I go, wow, was I right? But we would escape sometimes to the library because it's quiet. We'll go to the bathroom to take a shower because we don't want to get away from the children. But where do we go now to get away from the cameras and listening devices and the like? Jan, your place?
Or even your own mobile devices that's constantly collecting your personal information. We're tethered to it 24/7. So
Mine said I just had breakfast.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not that there's this maliciousness of people hacking and doing stuff, but this thing is constantly tracking. We hear allegations that you think a particular setting is off, and when you update it, or it comes back on, the audio, the video, the camera, the microphone, the whichever, and yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have all the answers, and it's an evolving situation. But I think what we're here for, and what the purpose is of this celebration of Data Protection Day under the motto "Take Control," is to actually raise awareness and to make people aware. I mean, we don't necessarily have full control. There are some things that we may not be able to do or to attain. But there's a lot that we can be aware of and that we can inform ourselves of, and we want to be part of that answer. We want to be, part of that through our website and through our inquiries and through, talking to you and talking to your listeners.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm hoping that people listen to it. Don't dismiss it, because it affects us all. And my attempt at trying to get people to engage, to say, listen, data is around, it's being, collected. Sometimes even without your knowledge, but even when you click agree, you're giving up more than you even intend or realize. So with that, we reference the website. For those who want to go to the website, what's the website?
It's ombudsman.ky.
And if you can't spell that, call Susan, she'll spell it for you. Ombudsman.ky. And I know your office does some very intensive, extensive training for any and everybody. Church groups, PTAs, working environments. If people want that kind of training, can they get that? If so, how?
Well, we mostly do awareness sessions, so we tend not to call it training.
Okay.
So
important word.
They're awareness-raising sessions where we go through the basics of how the law works and the principles, people's rights. What do you do when there's a personal data breach? How do you respond to that? And so on and so forth. So, so it's more about an overview more so than training as to how to do your job and apply the Data Protection Act to what you do. So we don't go into that much detail. It's just giving them an overview of how the law works.
That's exactly because of what I said before. The data protection is applicable in so many different contexts. We can't come to your business and know exactly what you do and exactly what you have. And that's what training is really all about, is about exactly telling you what steps you should take to comply. What we can do is raise your awareness and say, these are the general rules. Think about how that would apply to you, and that's what we do in those sessions,
And I'm thinking in the Cayman context, we are a part of the global financial community. In our health care, we have a physician who may be referring you to another physician in another continent. And that information is being shared. How is it being safeguarded? When it's received on that end and when you consent, maybe we don't think it's important. We don't understand how someone else may breach that on another end. And here we are all of a sudden impacted in a negative way. So I like your theme, but how do we do that?
Well, we're giving a few hints in our tips, our daily tips, and they're going to be put together in one sort of information sheet as well, and that'll be available I think early next week after Data Protection Day, and the tips are daily, but they're coming out now. I mean, part of it has to do with, as I said, inform yourself. You know, if you care about this, then have a look at our website and see what you can find out. And if you have any questions, let us know.
And your tips are practical. There's almost common sense, but yet I looked at a couple of more days and I thought, do we consciously do that? So can I publicly ask, not only for my edification, but if it's of any value, when you have that sheet collated, send it across to me, and I'll read and remind us, right?
It's right here.
We have a copy with us, actually.
But I was going to wait till after Data Protection.
That's a preview. That's a preview.
Yes, okay.
That's just for you.
Thank you. But this is where, as you said, Jan, that information that we share, people who are knowledgeable, who are interested in certain things, who are, if we share that, your mama would say to you, well, be careful around the stove. She doesn't tell you not to go around it. She teaches you how to use it. Your dad is showing you how to use the knife to fillet the fish. This is how you do it. This is what the knife is, how you hold it. If we don't know, we don't learn it, we don't practice, we don't employ it, we can suffer the negative consequences. So when we come back from the break, then could we maybe, in wrapping up, we talk about more and look at the Data Protection Day celebrated on Sunday, and share with us as you wish?
Yep.
All right. Join us after the break.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer. Welcome to a new year with Digicel. Elevate your mobile experience by switching to our prepaid or postpaid plan. Enjoy more data, seamless communication, and uninterrupted entertainment. Plus, make the switch now for a chance to win exciting rewards. Stay connected, entertained, and make 2024 your year with Digicel. Because better connections make a better year.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymanational.com today.
Email Radio Cayman Talk today at asksterlingdwayne@gmail.com. That's asksterlingdwayne@gmail.com.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks not only to the Information Commissioner's Office, but to the Ombudsman. That was years ago. Boy, you see, thank you, Mr. Yan. Yeah, I still do that, you know.
Yeah.
Evolution and advancement, promotion, and but there's a difference, right? And it's significant because as the Ombudsman, you're like the chief mediator. Not you, but the office.
We do more under one roof now
Yeah.
than we did in the Information Commission. At the time, there
Yeah.
was no data protection yet
Right.
either, so it was only freedom of information. Yeah, now we do basically those 5 areas, you know, FOI, data protection, maladministration, complaints against police, and whistleblowing.
Right. And the investigative function, the analysis of when something, maybe somebody is not sure how to make an FOI request, or they're not sure if this, you know, is a data breach, but it looks like what happens, to have that in-house expertise and have that sort of on the one stop shop. That shows how advanced our jurisdiction is becoming. I mean, we celebrate and we take it for granted, but there are many advanced jurisdictions that can look at our legislation and take an example. So,
yeah,
the Ombudsman's office.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
And see, every day I learn the reason why I love this place even more. But not just your competence, but your commitment collectively in office speaks volumes to where we're trying to go. And hopefully as a public, irrespective of our title or function or our years of service in whatever, we appreciate there's this thing that at the very least exists with an acumen to ensure that, you know, there is no impropriety that goes unheeded, you know. So Sunday. Is going to be a party Sunday? I mean, I understand there was. Is that not
more or less than usual? Well, we actually don't have any activities planned on Sunday.
Yeah.
But it is the event is being celebrated around the world.
Yeah.
It's probably close to 100 countries that are celebrating it, one way or another.
Yeah.
And when I say celebrating, you know. It has a lot to do with raising awareness. Again, I mean, I come back to that point, you know, of making people aware that there is such a thing and that they do have rights under it, and that's a very important aspect of this.
If I might, as you were sharing earlier, I was thinking back to, you know, medical information. You know, you go to your physician, there's a conversation about whatever the diagnosis, the prognosis. You won't publish that online. You'll be careful how that is shared,
right?
Even amongst, you know, your closest family and friends. If people could use that and say, well, what about my personal information, my name, my address? How many of us, unless it's an email overseas saying, you know, you just won a lottery, then give me your bank details. Many of us wouldn't give information out.
No.
Yet we're so casual with other stuff. And you know, I was hacked. Yeah, because you just gave them all the information.
Yeah, yeah. We use these companies all the time, and they do fantastic things. But if you think about how do you think Google makes its money, it's because they sit on a lot of data about you and me. You know, on every and they do that. Again, I mean, I use them and I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they have so many data points on each one of us. They know more about us than we know about ourselves, because they can connect things that we may not even connect in our own minds. You know, it's not about one source or one thing. It's about all these things together that create a profile, and that is, you know, I guess used increasingly online for marketing purposes. That can also be used for political marketing. I mean, there were scandals about that a couple of years ago in the UK, for instance. Oh, yes. You know, because the thing is, as Trudy Ann said, you know, there's supposed to be a privacy notice. You're supposed to know what your personal data is being used for. So if all of a sudden it's being used to send you political propaganda or whatever it may be, political advertising, let's say, then that's not something that you actually agree to.
Right.
And that was basically why that use on a massive scale, we're talking about millions of people that were involved in the UK and in other countries as well, that was the basis of why it was illegal.
And I think, this is why I enjoy chatting with you, because we get to see the global picture, and it no longer becomes this micro thing. That data that is being used in a political way has influenced elections. We look from that same company, the allegation that in Trinidad, how they were able to use the two disparate groups to influence the voting of one by using information that empowered one and at the same time probably encouraged one, you stay to the side, and then a new regime is ushered in.
Yeah. There's a fine line, I think, between disseminating information and manipulating people. Because by disseminating, you're actually saying, hey, our product is the best. That may be or may not be true, I don't know.
Yeah.
But when you start getting into, okay, what kind of triggers would people respond to? Let's fabricate a few facts, and then we're going to... I'm not saying that that's happening here or in any particular place, but if it gets into that, then you're talking about manipulation, and you're talking about abuse, really.
And what does the psychologist say? You get a self-reinforcing sort of approach, right? And economists, self-fulfilling prophecy. You see something, it becomes a conscious bias, and you say, well, that must be it because I never saw it from. With that, then, and with the time remaining, your tips and the theme, take control as we look at it. We can't. I mean, as much as I try to avoid, the social media stuff, you try to use a different search engine. But man, unless you're gonna kind of be like those people who disconnect completely from technology, can you?
That's literally what it's gonna take if you want privacy.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I think we can't give up. We have to stand by our principles. We have to say, and our legislation is based on the European legislation, which is, it's not exactly a global standard, but it's something, the closest thing perhaps to that. And their view is very much that this is about human rights. This is about your right to privacy.
Right to privacy.
And that's in our own Bill of Rights as well. So, even though it may sound daunting and it may be difficult and you can't control it necessarily 100%, but as I said, be aware, take control to the extent that you can, and make the decisions on an informed basis.
So we don't want to be Luddites, but at the same time, then we need to be a little bit more erudite with respect to how we use it. In closing, though, you referenced that we model the European legislation, but many of us are exposed more to North America. We see the Canadian government restricting internet access for certain things. That's presumably
right. They can't access the news via social media anymore.
I think Canada is still a democratic country and it's not communist. I don't know, but I mean that's a different discussion, right? But I'm saying that because here we are in Cayman, a global space, and yet are we conscious of what and how we're impacted? On a Friday, imagine we get that deep.
That's a valid question, absolutely, and it's a valid question in a small country. But it's really a question that everybody asks themselves around the world.
Exactly.
I mean, why is Canada doing some of these things? Because they want to not be completely overwhelmed with U.S. news or U.S. sources, and so they set certain, and they've had rules about that for years, about Canadian content and so on. And that's another example, but you find that same problem, the same issue, or the same perceived problem perhaps around the world.
Well, I thought he was a great U.S. president, Reagan, and I liked the banter between him and the Russian counterpart, Mr. Gorbachev, when he would say trust but verify. And maybe that's what we need to be. As you say, take control as we celebrate International Data Protection Day. Are we taking control? Are we being conscious? And are we taking a second to look at what information we potentially might be giving up and what measures, as Mr. Lee just shared just now, are we willing to step back sometimes and say, you know what, I'll do without? This seems to be a continued discussion, the Shelby.
Yes, we're not going to resolve this in the next week or so.
Okay, I was hoping to do it next 5 minutes, but okay. But thank you very much. I hope that you would accept the public invitation to come back any and every time that you wish. I always, on a personal level, come away much better informed, but also intrigued and inspired to consider and to take the stance I do at times to avoid certain things and to embrace others. Yep. Always a pleasure.
That's great. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, happy International Data Protection Day on Sunday, and maybe as a people, we'll encourage your parliamentarians to look at their policy and amendments to legislation as necessary. But as we travel, as we use international companies, to at least be conscious of what we may be providing, even inadvertently. End of the day, the data you protect may be your own.
Exactly.
Thanks, Mr. Liebaers and Mr. Trent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to share some of the tips if we can, the ones that have been provided so far. But when we come back, some open lines for the rest of the day.
If they are talking about us,
living in your head rent-free all this time,
we must be relevant. Radio Cayman since 1976. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
With your latest headlines, I'm Jevi EBANKS. Keep an eye out for the Meals on Wheels Change for Change donation drive happening today and tomorrow, Saturday, January 27th. Volunteers can be found around Grand Cayman collecting donations to help feed Cayman's seniors. In international news, U.S. politicians have called for new laws to criminalize the creation of deepfake images after explicit faked photos of Taylor Swift were viewed millions of times online. The images were posted on social media sites including X, formerly Twitter, and Telegram. U.S. Representative Joe Maroli called the spread of the pictures appalling in a statement on X, said it was actively removing the images and taking appropriate actions against the accounts involved in spreading them. Hermit crabs all over the world, which scavenge shells as armors for their bodies, are turning increasingly to plastic instead. The conclusion is based on analysis of photos taken by wildlife enthusiasts and published online. Scientists said that they are heartbroken to see the extent to which the animals were living in our rubbish. They said 2/3 of hermit crab species were pictured in artificial shells, items that humans discarded. The discovery is published in the journal Science of the Total Environment. That's a look at your latest headlines. I'm Jevi EBANKS.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Email Radio Cayman Talk today at asksterlingdwayne@gmail.com. That's asksterlingdwayne@gmail.com.
I see you guys. Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And as our guests take leave, hope they don't feel like they've been dismissed, but they do such great work over at the Ombudsman's office. And Mr. Liebaers and Mr. Trent, thank you very much for being with us. They have not only educated and informed me, but man, they made me realize that we live in a great space and a great place with great people who do great work. And I think if we don't recognize the complexity and sometimes the challenges of their offices, they try to mediate between competing interests. Man, that's good. You guys have a great International Data Protection Day. All right, Miss Susan, what do you want to do? She says she wants to go for lunch. What do you want for lunch? She says, nah, she doesn't want. She had good. Man. I'll repeat that to the people unless you do so publicly, Miss Susan. I'll wait for you. If you don't say it, I won't say it. All right, so open line. And, as I listen to her share her thoughts in my ear, they say, to whom much is given, much is required. Huh? Well, it's a Friday, and we got a few minutes left of our program as we invite you to share with us. I have had this week a wonderful, engaging discussions with many, from educators, and others alike. And there is seemingly a very, very unifying chord in that the people in this country recognize that there are things that have changed, things that are changing rapidly, and there's a growing concern that it could be leading to not just division and discord, but a society that, as divided as it's becoming, could cause us to be very much like the places that we've seen in history or around the region that we would not want to be like, from the perspective of the safety and the security, the sanity and the civility, the societal approach to people being able to freely engage in public spaces in a safe way. So let me ask, Monday is not a holiday, but today is nonetheless Friday. Or for those of us who may have, a Friday and Saturday where we have that to ourselves, we do not have to work. But even if you do, whether you're going back on shift or whether it's just how you scheduled or otherwise, we still need to be reminded that we live in this space and our actions or inactions have a telling impact on our society. So let me ask, do you see in our community this growing disharmony? 949-8037, 949-6990. And if you see it or not, are you concerned that that could be something that is at risk of creeping in? So much so that we as a people are drawing lines in the sand. As much as it is a political issue, I do not want to speak to it from that vein, but if you do, not a problem, I'll listen to you. But you would recall just in recent days and weeks the issue about, what I thought was not only a genuine attempt at, beautifying the place, an attempt, again, just generally speaking, to make the place look a little bit brighter, to bring a little bit, of joy. And again, going by published accounts, there was approval to be had to do so. So good folks in the community, with their own resources, whether it was funds donated and collected from the public, whether it was the time by the volunteers to do it, people went out and they painted, the islands, the medians, the little spaces between the lanes, and they tried to do that to make it not only more visible, so we can see it and not run into it, but perhaps make it a little bit brighter, a little bit more, joy and festiveness. Not just at the Christmas, but in general. Not gonna get into whether this color is better than that color, whether it should be a brighter color or otherwise, but just generally speaking. And again, to what was said publicly, the idea that that color, the bluish or blue color that was selected, and again from published accounts, seemingly was approved by the requisite authority through the NRA, the National Roads Authority, and then to have the individuals being told, no, you can't use that color because that color now is associated with the form of government or a political party. If that is true or not, the fact that it's been shared, are we concerned? If not, should we be concerned that, like many places, allegedly, the soda or drink that you have in your hand, the color of your clothing, or other symbolism could not only lead to a lot of arguments and division, but could lead to even more serious things? Is that what is happening in Cayman? Is it of a serious enough concern that we should, as somebody said, stop that foolishness, cut that out, let's nip it in the bud? Or is it already entrenched? Right? So much so that I understand, just from what people have shared, that they have experienced, both in the public sector as employees and in the private sector as employees. They were on their own initiative and from their own assessment, they would be conscious of what they would wear in terms of the color of their clothing, they would be conscious sometimes of their interactions and even the places they went, because over there, that's a place favored by a particular political grouping. And as I listened to some of those conversations in the intervening weeks between Christmas and New Year's, I thought, again, please feel free to correct me if you want to, and I'll use the word guide and chastise. Please do so, because in our country, with all of the issues that are happening globally, but just here, not just the questions of crime and safety to individuals, the idea of people being homeless, the questions of people being unable to meet their monthly expenditures in relation to their loan payments and their rent so that they can maintain a roof over their house, their heads, and have places to live, their abilities to pay, for their groceries and utilities. There are many issues, and as I said, I do not want it to be political. I have no issue with making political comments. But if we have all these other pressing issues that are seemingly important, the color, the idea of partisan politics, should that be something? And, you may choose to say, as some of you have asked, wait a minute now, allegedly, and we do have, I think, a WhatsApp call, Miss Susan. I think there's a call in the WhatsApp, if we can grab that in a second. Okay. She doesn't, our apologies, and sometimes technology is a beautiful thing. I can see it here. We'll try to figure out how to grab it and put it through in a second, right? I can just see the number calling. I can't hear anything else other than that. But presumably, as some of you have shared, to the caller who's calling on the WhatsApp, we will try to answer you. Just give us a second. Technology is a beautiful thing. I always say a wonderful servant, but a horrible master. And who said, well, maybe, people say and do things because they're being sort of preemptive. Maybe they're being, in their mind, prudent and say, listen, let's just do this, let's avoid that, because maybe they've been instructed, whether that's a civil servant, whether that's a private sector employee. But if things, again, I say it's petty, you may say no. But if things like, the color of your shirt, the color you got paint your building, or whatever it is, if those are the things that could cause us to get to a space where we're going to fight and be divided, should we consider that that's maybe no longer petty, but very serious if it leads to a growing, divide and discord? Let's pause, take a break to the individual that was trying to call. If you cannot get through on the WhatsApp, try the regular line. So we're going to do a little thing. Miss Susan, she's a technical skilled person, so she can make it work. We're going to pause, take the final break, and we invite you to call and share your thoughts. Please stay tuned.
As a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have our very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Gentlemen, if you would like to make her Valentine's Day special, well, bring her shopping at the Cayman Islands Agriculture Show. You get all the food you can eat. She gets all the plants and goodies. It's a win-win situation. Ash Wednesday, February 14th. Visit them on Facebook or caymanagriculture.com.
It takes a village, and you can be part of the change. Calling all helping hands to volunteer for the 2024 Meals on Wheels Change for Change donation fundraiser drive to support all our daily nutrition programs across Grand Cayman. Over 300 volunteers are needed, and no age is too young or old. If you can volunteer 2 hours of your time, hold the buckets, smile, and give a support sticker, you can volunteer. Families, individuals, civic groups, students, and companies alike can all pitch in to give back to this important effort. Join forces with Cayman Meals on Wheels, Davenport Development, and Radio Cayman to help end senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Volunteer today. Log on to www.mealsonwheels.ky or call us at 769-1974.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. We have a caller. Let's go to the phones. Hey, thank you for sharing. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Sterling Dwayne.
Hey, James Albert Christian. Good afternoon to you, man. How are you today?
I am good, my friend. I am good. I'm blessed. I'm giving God thanks, man. How you doing?
Likewise, I say this not in any sense of jest. For me, it's not to offend anybody. I believe strongly in prayer. I believe that we serve a living God. And just in my personal life, He must be very merciful, because you imagine to put up with me, He might say, boy, why don't be yourself? So
I can tell you that, because it's a good thing you want to got one arm now, because you've been carrying on worse than where you are.
but that's the thing, right? And not to put you off, I've always had this view, and I thank my parents for two things of many. One, encouraging us to have an independence of thought, right? Think for yourself, think from a considered perspective before you speak. But secondly, be absolutely respectful that your opinion is not the only opinion. Learn to acknowledge and respect other people's view. You don't have to agree with them, but they must be able to share their view, right? Now, you can dictate that you don't want them to shout, cuss, and carry on and scream, but they have a view just like yours. Their view might be as bad as yours. It might be as good. It might be better, right?
Yeah.
Tolerance.
That's so true, because today it take a big man, or not only a big man, it take a person to have, I guess you could call it, say, thick skin in order to take blows. You got to be able to just don't get frustrated and angry with every little word that someone says.
Right.
But we got to take life more serious than what we do.
Yeah, man. But by the same token, this is the second thing, right? Again, I'm not a theologian. I will tell you that many times when I read the scripture, I prefer the New King James Version over the rest of them. Sometimes I read the other ones, and they seem to conflict each other. There seems to be sometimes, and it could just be my limited knowledge and understanding, right? But nonetheless, but when I read the part about Jesus going into the temple and looking at a bunch of people down and carrying on, and it's presented in a way that he went in there very meek and mild and sheepish and saying in my best tone, "Yeah, boys, I'm trying to behave on yourself now. Stop carrying on." You see, that's not how I saw it, right? He went, no, he said, "Look, if I gotta come back in here again, I'm not gonna like this." He slapped them, kicked those tables over, and had a few good harsh words with them, right? And I say that because we present Jesus as this person who is this, wuss, so to speak, right? When the man could say, I didn't have to think about this, and you'd be turned upside down. And why I say that is that he's not advocating violence, but he say you got to stand in the gap. You got to be prepared to, fight, not physically necessarily, for what you believe in, right? And the country song say, if you, stand for something, you fall for anything. And to your point, yes, you be thick-skinned, but when are we gonna, as my friend says and my daughter repeats, when are you gonna woman up? Because I don't see man up is enough. When are you gonna get there where you look at people and say, dapping who frightened you don't come that big and ugly. When are we gonna get to that space that we lock hands and hearts and do the right thing?
That's true. That's so true. Cause,
yeah, man.
I mean, if it's something that you had to sit and contemplate on, like when Jesus was humble enough to do what he did, but he got to the point of where he couldn't take wine, he couldn't take no more, and he turned the table over. So you can use your mind or imagination,
yes,
to know the pressure that came upon him at that point in time.
Yeah, man.
He didn't sin, did nothing wrong, but he just got to the point where he had to make them know that what they were doing were wrong.
Right.
And
exactly.
And it's so by you using that, come in with that story, tied exactly into what I wanted to speak about for the next couple of seconds.
Yeah, man, of course. And I might want to ask you something else, but it depends on me. So you go right ahead, man. I want to listen to you. Thank you for sharing.
Hopefully you hold on to your side.
Oh, I will, man. Of course, man.
I would just, when Wayne Grant came on the last week, I was listening to the show in the morning there with Patron or whatever her name is there on the Mall Road.
Okay.
Regarding this thing about painting of the sides of the sidewalks and whatever. It is a different color, and the color matches too close to public to the one side of the politician. Color is too close to the blue or whatever. Some rubbish, all kind of rubbish were going on. It sounded like a bunch of children fighting over crayons to paint on a piece of paper. And I can understand that some people trying to beautify the sides of the roads and making it look a little better, but when you stop and think about this is what I want to say regarding, and then this is not what I really want to talk about, but I just want to quick say something on it. When you stop and think about it, safety is what we trying to accomplish in this country by the traffic and all these things on the street. If we change those high color yellow that represent markings that is supposed to warn you and put different colors, we are taking away that sense that when people see something, they're not going to say, well, that is a warning sign there for me that I need to be aware of. And it really didn't make no sense to me what they were trying to accomplish by fighting over this color, putting down this color. It just sounded like something that wasn't going to be able to come to a conclusion. But that was not what I wanted to speak about. But maybe you go ahead and speak about your part, and then I'll finish off with the other piece.
I can. And it's simple, but thank you. Certainly, I don't want to take away. In what you were sharing, I wanted to ask you and then the wider public, if you wish to answer, please. In your view, what is the greatest, demonstration of love? And we hear it in the movies and sometimes, he loves you so much, could kill for you. What is the greatest demonstration of love?
The greatest demonstration of love is giving.
Okay.
If you give what you have, let's say, for instance, I had. That's how my father raised me.
Right.
He always gave before he had something to receive for himself.
Right.
And if we were more giving today, we would become more loving. But we try to hold everything for ourselves, so we can't give no one no love because everything we contain for ourselves. So my strong Okay, go ahead.
No. I agree, because that to me is certainly a good illustration of it, right? In that, that demonstration of giving, right? We look at the scripture, for God so loved the world, right? He gave his only begotten son, right? So whereas the movies would say, you love you kill for that person. Are you willing to lay down your life? Are you willing to die as Christ did, right? And not as a sacrifice to replace that, not as a symbolism, and not even to appear to be a martyr, right? And like you said, if we give, as you shared as your father giving, if we give in love, if we give generously and willingly, we all give all that we can to each other, nobody would go without,
Yeah.
So it's man.
And it's a true thing, because when you reflect back in the Bible does speak about love, charity, putting on these things, and among all, he said to put on love, and it's hard for people to do it because people are afraid to be manipulated into being used.
Yeah, they don't be taken for granted or fooled either, right?
Yeah. That's why people tend to back away from those type of things. But you cannot do without. If you say you love your brother, you can't do without having that heart of giving.
Yeah, man.
You have to have that.
Exactly.
But I just want to mention one thing quick with Sterling before we go. And I hope that the listening public, and I hope someone in government, whichever department, listening can hear and understand what I'm trying to get at. We are living in a society where we tend to turn our eye. I said that a lot yesterday when I was speaking to you regarding all the stuff happening came on. But we tend to turn the eye, and I don't want to blame, but I use the word blame, but I say the government needs to put in place some sort of restrictions on dress codes going into our hospitals, into our banks, into our airports, into our whatever establishments they are. Government needs to lay down some strict rules on these men with their pants hanging down almost to their knee, showing their underwear. It's an embarrassment for people. I stand in the hospital, like I said, and I watch men just come in and just stand in the front of elderly women and their bottom showing, their briefest exposed.
Yeah.
And it's such a sad occasion for us to be in these little islands and see this nastiness that we are allowing to come in here and destroy our heritage, our way of living. And that is what I want to talk about. I wish I had more time to talk about it, but that I hope, Sterling, that something be put in place, because when we speak about our Cayman product, we need to get together and start putting a product together to make these kind of things stand.
All right.
We can't just stand for the rubbish like that.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And it speaks perhaps increasingly not just the legislation, but a societal ethos, that shared value system that our deportment, our decorum, the way we dress is important. And maybe that's something that we need to revisit and instill in our people, so that as men and women, we present ourselves in a certain way. But that comes back to not just national pride, but personal pride. How many of us would go places that our hair isn't combed and our shirt isn't neatly pressed? I mean, I say that knowing that I struggle now to iron my shirt, right? Feeling very conscious that it's not tucked in if I think it should be tucked in. It's not pressed the way I think it should be. But that's a personal thing, right? We need to have pride in ourselves. Anyway, my friend, thank you for what you're sharing, all right?
All right, thanks, man. I'll talk to you next week, Bo. Take care.
God's willing. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
You too, Bo.
All right. And to our listeners, thanks for listening, thanks for sharing, thanks for encouraging, thanks for the prayers. And if you're praying, pray for provision and protection, for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, for great health, but for a willing heart and hand and mind that is willing to do the right thing, do it in a timely way. So do the right thing in the right way. And to the point that the caller shared in respect to the discussions about the painting of, the islands, if that's the right word to use, those little medians in the roads, maybe two things. As some of my students had shared, and if you have not listened to the young people, try to develop a space where they talk freely, where you respect what they share, where they feel that they can share with you in confidence. Not that you give them right for wrong, not allow them to have ill behavior and the like, but you allow them to talk, not just amongst themselves, but in your presence as a parent, coach, teacher, as an adult. And many of them in the past months have commented about the colors of our buildings. And these are Caymanian children. These are children in the Cayman Islands, if they're not Caymanian, right? And I only say that to share that for now, in its first instance, shouldn't be of any significance, only to the extent that these are young people who are in our country, and not to look at those two buildings. Actually, there are a couple more, but maybe I'll highlight those two because they're public buildings, to be anyway disparaging it. But the Lions Pool building and the police stations, the colors on those buildings, the increasing number of young people across different groups, for those who are in athletics and the like, and I'll use that to mean whether they play football or run track or do some other sort of sport, to those who we work with in quote-unquote the academic arena or those in the artistic arena. All of those young people who are still in our school system in the country have made comments that I'll interpret it and apply it. They were very respectful, not disparaging. So if my words are a little bit more offensive, then it's probably intentional. The colors are horrible. They're ugly. And whether these are conversations they're having only amongst themselves, whether they're hearing it from their homes or in their schools. And so that you understand, these are children in school in the Cayman Islands, many of whom have a parent that is non-Caymanian, and a large number have two parents who are non-Caymanian. And I emphasize that to say that they don't have status, they don't have PR, they're just living and working here. And these children look at those colors, and as they've shared and have asked, they think that they're not in keeping, right, with the historical context. And these are young people, early teens, mid-teens. Are we listening to them? Those are two public buildings, the Lions Pool and the police stations. Now, they also reference a couple of other buildings in town, other places that the colors are very bright. One said, well, that's the Caribbean. The other said, no, I'm from the Caribbean. That's not so. But even if it was, this is Cayman. Do we not have, a different approach? And, I'll interject the word more of the pastels. Not an artist, not an architect, not an engineer. But this is something that they've shared since the school term started in September that we were working with them. You may feel like, no, that's not important. I want to emphasize that, how that is. To say the second thing, thanks, Ms. Susan, that when they go to paint or repaint the islands, we know we use, white lines and orange lines or whatever color that is. Maybe that center island piece, could be the orange. Because then if it's not to park there, maybe that'll not only be visible, it could be, reflective, but it will also be in keeping to ensure that no, you don't park here. Now, whether that is permissible under the road code, I'm certainly not the expert to opine on that. But if we're going to be divided by a color, how much longer do you think that it becomes divided by the color of our skin, or the ethnicity, the geography, the economics, potentially the education? A house divided cannot stand. Well, the counter to that would be, let's find a way to unify. Have a great weekend. If anything I say is offensive, you can let me know. and I will certainly genuinely apologize, but be mindful. I will defend what I say if I think is appropriate. I will not be adamant nor dogmatic, but I don't bend just because the wind blowing. God's willing, Monday, please join Mr. Art for the record. Come back for talk today, and if I'm here, I want to engage and hear from you. Have a wonderful, safe, blessed weekend.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
You're listening to Susan on the PM Show, Radio Cayman.